As the story grows, I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Xandria guitarist and founder Marco Heubaum to the podcast. Xandria will release Eclipse this Friday, August 7th on Napalm Records. Marco talks about the struggle to form bands in a small town, the band's early musical influences, keeping a band going through many lineup changes, and having to be reinvigorated to keep creating, becoming more outspoken about political and social issues as a lyricist, and more. I was a huge fan of the band's last EP, Universal Tales, and Eclipse far and away surpasses that album. It's an incredible, epic, symphonic, cinematic metal record, and I dig it a lot. If you like that genre of music, make sure you check this record out on Friday. I cannot wait for my vinyl to come in to put it on the sound system. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of As the Story Grows. If you're brand new to the podcast, welcome. You can find links in our show notes or at asthestorygrows.com for our mailing list on Substack, our Discord server, and our Patreon page, where $1 a month gets you early access to every episode. We had a comment over on YouTube on chapter 739 with Jaya from The Hue. Tesatral Terbish, I'm probably not pronouncing that right, wrote a very nice interview with Jaya. Thumbs up. Thanks for leaving a comment. If you leave a comment on any episode, whether that's on Apple Podcast, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, I will read it here on an episode. Enjoy today's conversation with Marco from Xandria.
Hi, hello.
How's it going?
Fine, thanks. You?
I'm doing well. Excited to have you on the show. My daughter's excited that I'm talking to you. She's a big fan of the band. So
Oh, great. That's so cool.
it's always great when we have similar taste of music.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Great to hear.
Yeah. I want to start, let's just dive into it. I want to start go back in time and what initially gets you into metal and what gets you playing guitar?
I think it's mostly my father who was playing the guitar when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And he was listening to a lot of those classic rock bands, from the 70s, like Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, also Jimi Hendrix, Pink Floyd, which all have been influencing me a lot. I was listening more to that kind of music than to the contemporary music at the time, which was, I think at that time, like beginning of the 80s, something more, new wave style, what was on the radio. Because as a kid, I was not going into the record store and saw that there's actually newer bands like Metallica or Iron Maiden, I didn't know about those bands at the time yet when I was a kid, but I discovered them later, of course, with that musical background that I got at that time. And as my father was playing the guitar and I saw him doing that, it was showing me that you can actually make music yourself. It's not just on the radio, on the TV. So, I don't know what exactly gave me that spark that I really want to do that. Mm-hmm. But it was there all the time, I think, since I was pretty young as a kid.
Yeah. You're from a pretty small area in Germany, it looks like. What kind of was the music scene when you wanted to start playing in bands? What was it like?
Yeah. I live in a town called Bielefeld, which is a bit more in the northern half of Germany, a bit more to the west side of it. It's not really known for specific bands coming from there, not like, Hamburg or Berlin, which are mostly the cities where German bands usually come from. Mm-hmm. But of course, there was a local scene when I started making music with other people, and the usual. You try to get some gigs in your local town, because there was these underground music festivals. Or on the school, I've been had my first time on stage on the annual school music festival, stuff like that. But Xandria was not really becoming a big part of the local scene because of the style. It's very different because the most of the other bands in town at the time, they were more aiming for some kind of, I think, alternative rock, this kind of style. So Xandria was actually taking the next steps by kind of bypassing that and just putting music on the internet. When it started, that there were websites. It was around the year 2000 when I recorded the first demo of the band, really, and I was putting those songs on some new websites that were coming up that were presenting underground bands, and people could discover you there. And our first record label, Drakkar Records, they were also discovering us on one of those websites.
The band has obviously gone through many evolutions musically with members, but I'm curious, it's been fascinating to re-listen to the discography and listen to Killed the Sun again. Is such a unique sounding album and moment in time. What was influencing you at the time you were writing that album?
The first album still was very much influenced by bands like Tiamat or Paradise Lost, or maybe a bit The Gathering. I remember there was one song from Swedish band Lake of Tears that was, I think it was called Lady Rosenred, that was very, very pretty, beautiful little song with a female singer, while usually the band has a male singer.
Yeah.
And that were these kinds of bands were the influence for me at that time. And I wanted to do something similar, and it was, I think, it's pretty much the basic for Kill the Sun. And I think when you know that, you can really hear it. It's of course, the production was making it sound a little bit more modern for that time. Actually, I was aiming for a little bit more raw sounds, like those classic Tiamat, The Gathering albums of the mid-90s. But the record label wanted, at the time, I think they wanted to push us a little bit more into a bit more modern Gothic rock sound. So they gave us a producer he was supposed to do that, let our album sound a little bit more that direction. I was not a big fan of this, I have to say. It was not an easy time. I remember there were quite some discussions in the studio because I didn't really like the direction it was going. In the end, it was still okay. I think it has a decent sound, and I think a lot of the musical ideas that I originally had are really audible there still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listening to it again, even just this morning, I'm like, it's still such a cool record that it's not what I think of when I think of Xandria, but it's still very cool. Yeah. With that said, kind of, you have been the constant in the band for 20 plus years. You've been through many ups and downs. Obviously, to still be doing it now, you have to love it. But has there been moments when, band members leave, vocalists leave, where you're just like, I don't know if this is worth doing anymore?
Yeah, sure. Definitely. There were a lot of frustration at some times. Um, because there's, of course, if a band member leaves, not always, but in some cases, of course, it has kind of a pretext, because there was obviously not an agreement about how things should be going in the band, be it either creatively or the organization of it, that someone maybe doesn't see how to tour a lot in life, uh, and so things don't really fit the plans anymore, and this can cause a lot of stress within a band, because you always have to find solutions for this. It often happens that people get emotionally a lot of into these things, and then this stresses the band a lot, instead of just doing what a band should do, just go out, play music, record music, write songs. But sometimes it's just like that, people are different, and it's something you always got to understand when you have a band. Some bands are just lucky, like, I don't know, U2, they are those four guys are together for now 40 years or something. They obviously knew from the start which way to go, and they were all agreeing on that. And it's definitely something to envy. Sure. It can be a stony way if you really want to pursue your musical vision. And back now, almost 10 years, it's now ago that the old lineup broke up. And at that time, I was also kind of burned out, and I also was leaving the band, actually, or let's say leaving the personal constellation that was the band at the time. And they were just playing shows without me, the same as they were going on without the singer, who was leaving right before. And it was only after 2-3 years that I found that energy again, because obviously I cannot stop making music. This is something I just need to do. For me, it's always about my own musical vision. These things, it's a very childlike thing, It's like a dream world in which I am, and in which I just have those dreams of doing this kind of music, or trying out these kind of elements, and then bring them together. And when I do that in my head, everything around a band, usually, the music business, or any organizational issues, things that you have to find solutions for, it's usually not playing any role when I'm being creative. And I just needed to find that space again, to find the energy of doing everything else around the band again. And once I found that space, the ideas were coming again, and that's what people hear on our, you could say, comeback album, The One Are Still Waiting. And we had a really good thing going with a new lineup. It's all fitting together really well, and we have a lot of fun being on tour together. So it's actually went quite naturally and smooth that we just started to work on future things. And I had been writing new songs very early on after the release of that album. So now it's the time for the next one.
Maybe with Wonder Still Awaiting, but I know specifically on Universal Tales, and that carries into this new album, it's much more politically, socially conscious about what's happening in the world around us now. What led to kind of that lyrical shift to be more focused on, politics or, kind of social changes?
Mm. As an artist, you always need to write about the things that are on your mind, and I was not making some decision of, okay, that next album should have a lot of political, or whatever you call it, topics, but it was just when I was beginning to write lyrics for songs, this was just what I have on my mind. Big worries about the state of civilization, and civilization was kind of developing in better directions for centuries, like at some point humankind developed democracy as a form of how a society can live together and make it work, to have everyone be a part of it equally. Slavery was abolished, those kind of things. It's all little steps on the way for civilization to become something better for everyone who is a part of it, with empathy and respect for everyone equally. And even though there was still a lot of issues in the world, of course, all the time, even like 10, 20 years ago, which seemed to me like quite a good time where you could actually think, like when the Cold War was over, things seemed to improve, the threat of a big nuclear war was not there anymore, and more countries became democratic, open, pluralistic societies where people could actually have a good life. And now it seems in the last years as if that kind of run has been turned around by some forces, aiming to turn democracies into authoritarian societies, which benefits the people who are in power, who are after big money, billionaires who have more money than anyone would ever need in their life, instead of sharing that in a fair way, because no one can become a billionaire by just not exploiting others. That's not possible, and it's not debatable in my opinion. And all those things, and they try to protect. Obviously, they had the feeling that maybe the next step would be that their way of being free to do just whatever they want to do, to have power, to make money, was maybe for them a little bit endangered by an awake society. And so there's distractions needed, of course, for the people, which is like, okay, just, blame it on the immigrants, blame it on transgender people. They are not an important topic really and I mean that in the sense of there's nothing to be worried about.
Yeah,
it's all things we can figure out together, with empathy and respect. That's not a problem at all. But these things are being used as a distraction from where we should actually look to make a difference, or to make things better for people who don't have the money to afford their daily groceries, to buy a house or whatever, stuff that should be normal nowadays. And these things, that this development of societies towards something better has been turned around, is worrying me a lot. And so I just needed to write about that. And I was doing that in quite a natural way. I always had something I wanted to put a focus on, and I made a song out of it. And that's just how it became that way.
Yeah.
Musically, I think it's still very film score, you can still, of course, you can let yourself be taken away into movie worlds that run in your head when you listen to the music, as we are very film score influenced. So
Yeah,
I think it's all coming together pretty well.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue. That was kind of my next question. You talk about the importance of film scores in this press release. Has kind of the rapid change of technology and being able to, play around with different electronic instruments allowed you to achieve that film score more easily? I mean, I think this record especially takes it up a notch. I think it sounds incredible. When I hit play on the record for the first time, my daughter was like, "Oh, this sounds like a movie," and I'm like, "I think that's the goal."
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what we want people to feel. We are all big fans of movies in the band, and at some point as a songwriter, I was just wanting to put that in my own music. I love different kinds of metal, I love Metallica, Judas Priest, but I also like Paradise Lost, Tiamat, and I like more extreme bands like, I don't know, At the Gates, Emperor. And it would be really hard for me to choose if I would have to choose only one influence where I would want to go. And so this kind of so what Xandria has become is kind of giving me the freedom to do all of it. I know people give it the term symphonic metal, but it's actually more a term that describes how songs are arranged. There's metal and there's an orchestral element to it, but it doesn't really say something about the style.
Yeah.
And I like the style to be diverse, to be open, that I can just put every metal style in Xandria that I love to be in there. And with putting that film score element into it, it becomes that extra dimension that people probably perceive as symphonic, even though I think I would rather call it film score metal, I think, what we do. Because film score, it means more than just orchestra. It means also like Celtic folk influences, if you think of the Braveheart soundtrack, or Gladiator soundtrack, if you have those Eastern influences. It's very interesting what you can do in that world. And as I'm obviously not someone from Scotland or from Ireland, I can never be an authentic Celtic folk musician, but I am a fan of that music. So when I try to do things that sound like it, because I love it, I see it more like writing for an imaginary movie, like a score, in which you use those elements to underline the story you want to tell. And this is a good description, I think, for why there's these different elements in the music.
Yeah.
And why they just need to be heartfelt, and they don't need to be 100% authentic. They just need to come from the heart and to tell the story you want to tell.
Yeah. Even like thinking about the song Colors on the record with the harsh vocals, and it's like, that's a much heavier song.
Yeah, it's a totally different thing again. And when you were asking me about electronic influences, that's also part of it. If you look at Hans Zimmer, how he composes soundtracks, like the second Batman movie of Nolan, The Dark Knight, it has a lot of electronic elements combined with the orchestral sounds. That's a really great combination. It was kind of revolutionary for movie scores, and it works very well. So yeah, it's also that's why I also find those electronic instruments in our music. It actually also comes more from the film score, more than from electronic pop music.
Yeah.
And when you ask for new technologies, it makes it easy for me to write songs with sample libraries, so I can already lay out what a string section would do in an orchestra, or what a brass section would do. So I'm already having ideas for these lines, and I'm putting them down, but I'm giving these ideas to someone else who is an actual film score composer. There were these two guys working on our album with us, who are taking those lines from me and turned it into this big orchestral arrangement that you can hear. Yeah. And they did a really great job. It's always amazing to hear what they're doing.
Album's out in just about 2 weeks now. You guys have a massive European tour this fall. Is there plans maybe looking 27 to come back to North America selfishly?
Yeah, of course. Of course. We have been touring each year in the last few years in the US and in Canada. And of course, we want to do that again. It was just not fitting into the months right after the album release right away. But we are absolutely aiming to do it next year.